So greetings. We are talking about Runebearer version 4. We're talking about experience. So first, let's talk about the base experience system. Um, let's talk exactly how we are doing raising skills and skill levels, and then we will talk about the slushier parts right now that are sort of being thought about and concocted as we go. So let's talk about the part that is known first. This is not yet written, so there's no document coming yet. But this is super simple, so you could probably just remember this. Remember, so in Runebearer, if you succeed in a skill check during the session, you get a check in that skill. So you can see I used the / to check, and Patrick here has gone on an adventure tonight, and and he got a check in athlete and medical, sword and shield. There we go. You also get free checks at the end of the night. Your GM gives you 1, 2, or 3. If you've done something spectacular, maybe you get 3, like a major arc. A normal night might be 1. A night where a minor goal is accomplished might be 2. There you go. And these can just be spent in these. So I can say, oh, I want to raise swords, so let me spend 1 there. Medical, let me spend. Oops. Let's put 2 in swords and 1 in medical. Done. So there you go. So I have 3 checks in swords, 1 check in shield, 2 in medical, 1 in athlete. To convert a check to experience, I take a d20 and I need to roll above that base value of 8. So in this case, 12. So I did convert this. So let's make that an X. So that's a experience point. Medical, I get 2 rolls. I get a 10 and a 12. So both of those convert. So that turns to 2 X's. Swords, I have 3 checks in swords. A 6, so that check is erased. A 7, erased. And a 10, that one does convert. And then shield. So shield, you'll see I've already raised shield once. Don't know where. I mean, right? I've adventured previously and raised shield. So now I need to roll above a 9. As the skill goes up, it gets harder to raise. So I rolled a 20, so that did indeed convert. So experience. Now, the GM can make a determination how fast they want to level characters in the campaign. Our current campaign, we are going super slow. So we want a slow burn on these characters. We want these characters to last a year or 2 or more. And so we take 5 experience to raise. So as you'll see there, I'm not even halfway to raising medical or shield again, and so on. But you can go as low as 3 to raise if you want a faster leveling experience, if you plan to play for a few months only, or maybe you want the campaign to end after a year, right? Then 3 is a way more appropriate number, and your characters will get up there a little quicker. But we're going for sort of this is theoretically the multi-year campaign that we're trying to do, the long form campaign. And so we're going 5 experience points. And then as a GM, I can slightly tweak the speed of leveling by giving more or less of these as the game goes on. So that's the known part. The unknown parts are things like, how do I learn a new skill? How do I raise my stats? How do I get tanks? So let's talk about that. Getting a new skill is spending free checks primarily. So those free checks, you can save them, or you can, like I did, spend them on different skills. So let's say I have 3 free checks. We went on a couple more adventures. I could wait, and the GM could say, hey, you want a new skill? You want to get, I don't know, you want to get survival, and you have someone to train you, and you have some money. Okay, you can get survival. You have to spend 5 free checks. And so I'd erase the free checks, type survival, put a base value of 8, and get my new skill. 5 is probably the number, just offhand. But that number is still a little fuzzy since, so we'll to think about that. The other thing would be raising stats. Currently, I don't have a specific means of raising any of these stats. Like I don't have a specific amount of checks or something that's valuable to raise stats. What I plan to do is during the camp, like that's going to be ad hoc. Actually, I don't know that I'm actually going to even have rules to raise stats. I might just over the course of the campaign give 4 to 6 stat raises to characters based on things that they do. Um, and some of those might be choice, some of those might be random, some of those might be specific. Like he'll give you you can spend, and I'll probably make people spend free checks so that they have a decision to make whether they take, whether it's part of their build to take or not. So I might say, at some point during the campaign to all the characters and go, hey guys, if you want to buy your awareness up by 1, you can spend 3 free checks or some such, and they can make that decision there and go up or not. So we'll have to see how that pans out. And I will, once I get that sort of specifically in play, I will make sure you know about it, or I put it in the document. The last thing is talents. Talents have been wearing on me for quite a bit. Um, this past couple years for in gaming, and the reason is that I love feats since 2000, since D&D third came out. I love the idea of feats. I love the talents. I love those special powers the characters have, right? um, that was great, and that drove a lot of sort of the past 20 years of my gaming mentality. I love those builds. I love the video gamey builds in the tabletop. Um, the one thing, and Runebearer, way back, whatever, 20 years ago, got in the original game, got talents added. I added talents after feats came out in D&D. I thought, wow, that's a change in, it's a really cool change in sort of um, tabletop role playing games in general, going for more character build sort of meat on those bones. I've backed off since, and I'll tell you why. I think that talents, though they are fun, and I have players that love talents and love making builds for characters, I do think they put it's not a hard cap, it's a soft cap on the lifetime of the campaign. I think that feat based games and talent based games and superpower based games effectively put a soft cap on how long that game's going to last, because at some point you though you can the GM of course can make any challenge as hard as he wants or as easy as he wants in the game, but they start to give characters a lot of ways to solve lots of problems, and a lot of ways to approach combat, and a lot of ways to approach puzzles or other situations. And that's great, that's awesome, but then it also starts to erode what is a normal challenge. um, and you have that weird power progression where you have to fight goblins at level 1, and oh, you're 5 levels up, so now you have to fight orcs, and oh, you're more levels up, so now you have to fight, I don't know, ogres, and now it's giants. um, it puts, and people have griped, right, or not griped, but there's a lot of D&D campaigns that don't go past low double digits, 10, 11, 12, because at some point, those characters have a shelf life of fun and challenge. We ran a campaign a couple years ago that was a sword sphere, and it was a modified set of these rules. But you had classes. They were based off Magic Realm characters, because I still love Magic Realm. So I'm like a little fan. That was my fan fiction for Magic Realm. So you had classes. Those classes had powers. You leveled up, and so on and so forth. If anyone's interested, I'll publish that too. Although the rules are not complete in any way, shape, or form. They're certainly a little bit more haphazard than even what Runebearer is right now. They're more notes than anything else. And we played for about a year. The characters got to level 9, 10, 11 ish. and they sort of aged out of, at some point we were done because characters had lots of power, lots of different spells, lots of ways to circumvent all issues. And though it's fun playing those superpowered characters, at some point, I feel we tired. We tired of them. So this game is different. This game is we want a slow burn. We want these characters to be able to go a year, 2 years, maybe three. I don't know that anyone wants to play a 3-year campaign at my age. Who knows? We'll see. But we want a long form campaign. So we chose a slow progression, so 5 experience points. And for talents, there are no talents you can just buy. You cannot necessarily just build talents. I might give people access to certain talents over the course of the campaign. That's a little bit of GM fiat there. What I am doing is at the end of an adventure, thinking about what the characters have done as a group, the party as a group, and then offering up talents to purchase based on those things. So they walked through a sludge toxic river to get to the alchemist who was poisoning the river. Well, maybe one of the insights, I call them, that they are offered at the end of that mission is +2 to poison saves if you want to spend 4 free checks or 3 free checks. And so I will lay those out. The players will talk amongst themselves. Someone will pick that and say, I would like to take a +2 to poison saves. I will spend the 3 free checks, and now I am +2 to save against poison. And there's your talent. You have to pay for it, though. You get the unlock is having the card in your hand, but you do still have to pay for it. Again, the reason is to make you make a choice, as opposed to it being a no-brainer. Well, of course, someone's going to take the +2 to poison if it's just a freebie. But if you have to pay for it, then you have to think, man, I could use those points. I was trying to get a new combat skill, or I was trying to pass the bar exam, or whatever it is. But you have to spend to do that. So at the end of the game, the characters obviously will have higher skill levels. They'll have some higher stats, and they will have a few talents, a handful of talents that have been picked, from exploits in the game as rewards, and that they've unlocked and then paid for. Not really buildy. You're not going to sit there and plan your build out for 12 levels and, become the trip guy or the evasion guy or whatever. That's not how it's going to work. But you might have 2 or 3 or 4 special things that only you can do. Oh, remember when you jumped on the giant's back and hit him in the head and killed him in one shot? Well, now maybe you do +1 damage to giants, or you write something like that, and you get that special thing, by paying for it. Or maybe the party decides to give it to the other guy just because. Now, that's sort of a choice. I don't know whether I would do that as a GM, but I'm doing it as a GM. I don't know if you would do it as a GM. I'm letting the party decide, like I said, like it was magic items almost. They're almost like rewards. So that's it. That is experience. That is how these characters are leveling up. It's slow, but I think that suits us right now. And we'll see if it works, and I will tell you how it goes. If you're watching the after action reports for Dawn's Hope, you saw that the last one I did give you a list of talents that we did indeed put out there. So you can see sort of how they go and what kinds of things are getting to the players. So thank you very much for indulging me again. This is experience in Runebearer version 4. Not quite done yet. You'll see the doc when I'm done. Thank you very much, and I will talk to you all later.